sorry. I didn't hear anything. Are you having fun? Young Canada, I love you. And I'll tell you who else I love. I love Michelle Douglas and Ava Haller, who chair the boards of Free the Children in Canada and the U.S., and they are in the house today. Give it up for Michelle and Ava. And let me tell you guys who else I love. I love Free the Children. And you know what? I love them so much that I am personally building 2 schools in Kenya. One of them is going to be named for my grandmother, and the other is going to be named for my mom, and you're going to meet my mom in a way in just a few minutes. But let me say a little bit about myself so you know where I'm coming from. My name is Irshad, as you now know. I am a filmmaker, an author, and a human rights activist. I am also a faithful Muslim. And my religion is Islam. And I'll tell you, it's because I believe, as so many other Muslims believe, that God made all of us equal, that I am speaking up for the need for all religions to respect human rights. And I am doing that through books, I'm doing that through newspaper columns, doing that, through TV and through movies. In fact, my new movie, as Ben mentioned, is called Faith Without Fear. And it talks about my journey to bring together my love of God with my love of human rights. Let me begin to give you that message by showing one clip from the movie. Let's roll.
Ugandan-born Irshad Manji moved to Canada when she was 4. She survived a sometimes turbulent childhood, which fueled her appetite for original thought.
I draw on 2 entities for strength. One is my creator, ultimately, and the other is my conscience.
The New York Times called her Osama bin Laden's worst nightmare.
She's gay. She's a Muslim. Thursday's a
What? Can I jump in here
Go
for
ahead.
a quick second? I think Mr. Kadim, with all due respect to him, is sanitizing one very basic point, and that is that in the past even 50 years, more Muslims have been tortured and murdered at the hands of other Muslims than any foreign imperial power. I'm saying to my fellow Muslims, at a certain point, we've got to take responsibility for what we are contributing to the crisis in Islam today. For speaking out, I'm flooded with furious emails. This does not exactly comfort my mother.
I feel like she's expressing herself way too much. And she's right what she's saying. I'm not saying she's wrong. But sometimes in this world, the truth doesn't go too well with people.
That's my mom. That's my mom. Now, you just saw that my mom wants me to tone it down, all right? Because she's worried about my personal safety. And the reason she's worried, my friends, is that some of what I say angers a lot of my fellow Muslims. And people of all religions don't like to have their beliefs challenged, right? It makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And some of these people actually threaten my life because I speak up for human rights. Now, I'm telling you all of this not to scare you, but to remind you that sometimes activism is not the best way to become popular. All right? I know it's easy to assume that because we all adore Mark and Craig, activism is a great way to get social approval. Not always. Sometimes activism actively invites disapproval. Romeo Dallaire spoke to us just before lunch, right? All right. What you may not know about him, my friends, is that the United Nations dissed Romeo Dallaire. The Canadian government called him a nuisance. And Canadians themselves totally did not appreciate Dallaire until many, many years later. He's a hero to us now, but it wasn't always so. Okay? And I'll tell you, in many ways, that's the situation in which I find myself. As a faithful Muslim who is nonetheless speaking out for the need for every religion on God's green earth to respect women, minorities, and children. And I'll tell you again, a lot of students these days come up to me and say, Irshad, where did you get the courage to speak your mind freely despite the threats against your life from your own religious community? Well, I say to them, my friends, exactly what I'm about to tell you. And if you take nothing else away from my presentation, I want you to remember this. Courage is not the absence of fear. We're human. We're always going to fear something, all right? Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the recognition that some things are more important than fear. And far, far more important than fear, for me at least, is voice. Having it and using it on behalf of the hundreds of millions of others out there in the world who don't yet enjoy the privilege of it. And what I'm choosing to do with my voice is I'm asking questions out loud. I'm also embracing the questions that are asked of me, even when they're totally politically incorrect, even when they offend me. And let me give you an example of when that happened and the fact that I embraced being offended by the question actually transformed my life. It turned me from somebody who focuses only on the self to somebody who focuses on the wider world beyond the self. Me to we. Let me tell you this story.